Hello and welcome to the Matt Black podcast. We're up to episode 15. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll notice that we are not in our usual little boudoir, but we are in a hotel. I've ventured across the borders from South Yorkshire to West Yorkshire. And I'm here with actor, comedian, writer Alex Lowe. How are you?
Very well, Well, I say very well. I've got a bit of a cold.
Yes.
Tedious for anyone listening at home, but I'm just in the middle of a tour. I've got two months off from my tour, and I had to say to my wife, yeah, I'm going up to Barnsley near Leeds to do 5 days. Then I'm going to Newcastle to do a big gig. Then I'm doing Rob Brydon's show in the West End. And my wife said, you are? I thought you weren't doing the tour. And it's just that I agreed to do this. And typically now I think it's just coming off the tour. I've got a cold. I don't normally sound like this.
It happens though when you know that you've got lots of stuff coming up. You immediately get ill.
Amazing, isn't it? So that's a rather long answer. Sorry, that's very boring for everyone. But if I do sound a little bit coldy, that's the situation. Yeah. Overdone it. That's the problem.
Alex has got man flu. I'm not actually here for a podcast. I'm just here to monitor him. People,
That's
you understand the severity of the situation.
Yes, absolutely.
So, obviously, most people will know you for various characters and various work that you've done. Probably most notably Barry from Watford and Clinton Baptiste, which is the tour you're on right now.
Yep.
But I'm quite interested in, obviously, the person under the mullet. So I wasn't really... I wasn't wanting to ask you to come into character for because obviously you're going to be doing that later on this evening as well. So I was wondering more kind of like, to do with your younger life, how was it all, and what kind of sparked you to get into entertainment when you were growing up?
Yes, well, I was a child actor, so this is the only thing I've ever done. I think I was probably, a bit of a show off as a kid. There was just me and my brother. And why that is, I'm sure there's some kind of Freudian reason for why I felt the need to show off and entertain all the time. My brother and I were always doing shows, putting on shows. We'd go to a caravan in Bournemouth with the family, and it had some sort of curtains in the caravan. Always doing these shows, putting on shows, rehearsing them. I also played the piano. My brother played the drums. We were, in 1979, we came runners-up in the Walls Cornetto Junior Talent Contest, which is a nationwide thing, doing our impressions. I mean, I'm blushing thinking about it. It was pretty horrible. Doing jokes from the Two Ronnies joke book.
Yeah.
So I've always been an actor, and I've always sort of been interested in comedy, really. But it's probably only since about the age of 30 that I've focused sort of a bit more on comedy,
2 years ago then.
Yeah. Bless you. Bless you.
So in those early times then when you were starting, how did that come about? Because obviously lots of parents will obviously support the kids in getting into whatever it is that they're interested in doing. I imagine it's a bit harder than just taking them to do some taekwondo lessons.
Yeah, and also my parents were not remotely theatrical types. I would describe my upbringing as sort of lower middle class. They were grafters, My dad was a clerk in a tea company. He was a tea taster, had to taste tea. My mum worked for...
it's a Yorkshireman's dream.
Absolutely. My mum worked for Harrow Social Services in northwest London. So we were not, we were sort of brought up with that work ethic, that you go to work at 9 o'clock in the morning, you come back at 5. And in many ways, honest to God, I'm now 56. It's only now, really, in the last couple of years, I've stopped looking over my shoulder thinking, any moment now, I'm going to have to knuckle down to get a proper job. Because that's just how I was brought up. And I think, part of the thing is, God, this sounds a lot of navel-gazing, but, people often say to me, why are you so busy? Why do you do so much? And I think it's a kind of working-class guilt that, I was always brought up, there's an offer for some work. That's what you do. You take it. In a way that upper classes don't. They relax. I don't really go on holiday very much. I'm not being clever. I'm not being a martyr. I wish I could do it a bit more. And I think it drives my wife mad. As I say, she can't believe that in my downtime from this tour, I'm going up and down the country, making myself ill.
Yeah.
So I do think that I need to take a bit more time out. But anyway, to answer the question, I can't remember what the question was, but only that, my parents were not pushy showbiz types.
Yeah.
And, you know, it only used to take my mum, you know, phoning me up at 2:45 on a Tuesday afternoon saying, "What are you doing?" for me to be thrown into absolute panic. Yeah, what am I doing? This is ridiculous, you know.
Yeah.
So I think it's just that, you know, working hard with all that sort of thing. But they let me go to a drama school, sort of after-school drama school.
Yeah.
Which I think they just thought was a hobby like taekwondo, like you say.
Yeah,
but I think, honestly, I think if you... It sounds pretentious that it's a vocation in life to be an actor. I've given up an awful lot. You know, I sold our honeymoon when I was getting married because I got a commercial. And it's a thing that it is a kind of lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really suit everyone. And luckily, my family are very supportive, you know. But I think they just assumed it was going to stop at some point.
I think it's. I mean, I can relate to that with the music side of things that I do, because you do miss birthdays and christenings, and you're not around when people invite you to something 15 months from now, and you unfortunately have to decline.
Yeah, so and they don't. A lot of people don't really understand that. You know, I've got friends who think I'm never going out for a drink with them, but if I'm working the rest of the time, I can't come home to my family and go, "Yeah, I'm off out now for a drink." You know.
Yeah, and then when you've got those couple of days here and there, sometimes you just need to just veg out.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, I find I just have to roll my sleeves up and help out with the family. I mean, to be fair, coming away to a hotel, I know, folks, this doesn't look like much of a hotel, but, you know, going to a hotel, deciding what you're going to have to eat, then doing a show, having the day to yourself. That it's a bit like Gaza when he said the real problem is not being on the pitch. It's life outside of it.
Yeah.
You know, if you're on stage and you're doing your thing, it's great. Stay in a hotel, people make the beds for you. What's not to like? But it's just kind of being aware that you've got this other stuff going on, your real life. As you say, friends who want to go out turning down invitations 15 months before or whatever.
Yeah.
So, it's not for everyone.
No, and it's difficult for some people's partners to kind of understand the situation as well. So you drop on if you find someone that is supportive of that and does understand, you know, the way that it works and the scheduling and the things that you have to do, and obviously the sacrifices you have to make.
Absolutely. Luckily, my wife is great about that. But I mean, it's an extraordinary thing because she has a very low embarrassment threshold. She doesn't particularly like to come and see me doing stuff. My daughter is a singer and an actress. My wife has to be pissed out of her head to go and watch my daughter sing. Not because she's not a great singer, just because she gets so nervous.
Yeah.
And I always think there's a level under which my daughter, for example, is not going to fall. And I like to think there's a level under which I'm not going to go in terms of how good the show is.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about taste because it's totally indecent what I do. But you know what I mean? I always think, you don't have to worry that much. It's never going to be so shit you're embarrassed.
Yeah.
You know?
I think I don't know if maybe you'll agree with me on this, but like when obviously going to watch a family member singing on the stage, you're kind of nervous for them because you want them to do well.
Yeah.
When it's like a comedy act, you're playing a character, so it's almost like it's not you almost. So they can go. It doesn't matter because it wasn't Alex that said it. It was Clinton that said it.
Well, I think that as well. I do think it's not. I mean, to get into the character thing, you know, you can say things as a character. You can't as a straight stand-up, even though straight stand-up is sort of playing a role.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's not really me. It's sort of pretend.
Yeah.
As you can see, I'm really quite dull in real life. But I mean, the other thing is, of course, there's so much discussion about my career in my house, generated by me, you know, that she doesn't always want to talk about it all day long and then come and see it in the evening. Yeah. She's got a career of her own, you know, she's a school teacher.
Right.
So, you know, but I'm very lucky because if we were both actors or performers like yourself, I think we'd be probably tearing each other's eyes out. You know, I've heard of actors, they get jealous of each other if someone gets a role, and you think there's no correlation. You know, you're a woman, he's a man, he's going up for different parts.
Yeah.
But so I dare say for some people there's a level of competition between partners, which thankfully doesn't exist in my house.
Oh, that's good then. Yeah. Let's see, my wife sings as well, but we just get on with it, and we're just happy for each other. If something's going well, we both understand each other's struggles. When it's Sunday, you've just done four 4 shows on the bounce. You've got a
Yeah.
sore throat. You're tired.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't really want to be out of the house. It's freezing outside, and you're just like, oh, I'm gonna have to paint a smile and pretend I actually give a shit today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully you find someone to marry who you're compatible with anyway. You know? I always imagine, oh, what a nightmare being stuck with this one and that one. You think, yeah, you wouldn't have married her. What are you talking about?
So when did you feel that like you kind of had like, for you, was like your first like proper breakthrough when you were doing the acting
Well,
in the early days?
I did, oh God, I did various things. When I was about 13, I did a show for Thames Television. You Must Believe All This was part of a series called Theatre Box, which was a lovely kind of drama based on Charles Dickens. And then I did like a costume drama, Mansfield Park, which is one of those Sunday night Jane Austen costume dramas, where I grew up into Nicholas Farrell, the actor, in the second episode. I was the young Edmund Bertram. I did the Adrian Mole cassettes when they first came out. Secret Diary of Adrian Mole cassettes, kids. There's a thing.
I had those.
Yeah, good. And and then I did a play called Another Country in the West End. That was kind of the biggest thing that's to this day has sort of helped me. Which was, it was a film called Another Country. I don't know, people might remember it from the early 80s, which starred Rupert Everett and Kenneth Branagh. And it also had Colin Firth. Colin Firth was in the film, but this was the West End play, and I was in that for many months, and I got to know Kenneth Branagh very well, and consequently, when I finished my degree in drama, the very terrible degree I did, it was just Mickey Mouse nonsense. Although I met a lot of wonderful people, Kenneth Branagh brought me into his company. So that really helped me enormously. I was with Renaissance Theatre Company, which is Kenneth Branagh's company, and I was his stand-in in films. So I was in Peter's Friends, Much Ado About Nothing. I was in Frankenstein. I did another short film which was nominated for an Oscar for a short film. So I used to be his stand-in, exactly the same height and colouring as Kenneth Branagh, and he very kindly gave me parts as well in his films. So I played this character Paul in Peter's Friends, who has it off with Emma Thompson when Kenneth Branagh was married to her, and I played his part Benedict in Much Ado About Nothing, filmed in Italy, where I shared a villa with Brian Blessed for 6 weeks, whatever it was.
Right.
So I was very, very lucky that Kenneth Branagh took me under his wing, because no one's really done much for me. I found it quite a sort of solo career. You very soon realise no one's going to be beating a path to your door. It's quite good to be proactive. I mean, the days of waiting for an agent to phone me up and be offered a few crumbs, I mean, that's a waste of a career. You've got to sort of create things for yourself.
Yeah, do some networking, things like that.
Yeah.
So what would you say were like the biggest struggles then around that time, to get into that thing?
As I said, we weren't poor, we weren't down pit, but we were, I was expected to kind of earn some money, just kind of keeping a roof over your head. If you live in London, it's very expensive. Trying to keep, actually, it's not even so much the money, keeping your head together.
Right.
Really getting depressed. I wrote a diary, which one day, it's probably unbearable to read, but I think if you're an actor, it's very difficult not to take things personally, or a performer, you'll know this. If you're at a market selling leather jackets and someone doesn't like your leather jacket, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
It's not me.
Yeah.
But it's you going out there. It's quite hard to take that rejection. Particularly in my case, I had so many near misses, great opportunities. I can name so many things that went to a pilot, that were going to be a big film, that was always about to do something good for me, which somehow didn't happen. Or I was down to the last two of something fantastic and it didn't happen. And it's really hard to, take that on the chin and let it water off a duck's back and get on with it again. And it doesn't suit everyone.
No. So do you feel like you might have built up more of a resilience now over time than to rejection or criticism, things like that?
Well, I do. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely. But it still hurts a bit, I mean, I did the Chris Moyles show a couple of days ago on X Radio. Yeah, and I would say 95% of people would say, I really love that character. not even so much the character. They like the Peter Kay element. They remember with affection Phoenix Nights. And they like the kind of cheekiness of it, and it's kind of larger than life. It's kind of easy to like this kind of larger than life character. When you get people going, give up, mate. He was on the show for 2 minutes 25 years ago. This ain't funny. Comedy's moved on or whatever. And I was saying to my wife, honestly, it doesn't bother me that much. I'm just intrigued with how people want to let you know that.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, if you don't like it, if you genuinely don't like it, although I'm not sure what's not to like. I think there's some quite funny jokes. It's just a little bit on a breakfast show.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of badinage. It wasn't just me. They were chipping in. It was a kind of funny thing.
Yeah.
But there's people going, this bloke. They're so angry about it.
Yeah.
And you think, I mean, I'm just intrigued by it. Because
I think that character itself, he kind of prides himself on things not going correctly. Obviously, like the guessing people's ages and names and stuff. It's all you created a character that's purposely like is blagging it, isn't he, to get through? And I think some people almost take it like he's a real person, like they do with stuff like Keith Lemon and things like that. People get annoyed.
It's amazing what people get annoyed about.
But the internet's not helped, because a long time ago they'd have to write a letter, go to the post office and send off a moan or a complaint. But now it's just like it's at the fingertips, isn't it? You know, they just don't like that instant. Let's let everybody know.
That is, I mean, I imagine for some people, if you're a woman and it's very personal about how you look or whatever. Well, even for blokes, that's not very nice, is it? You know, it's so dumb, all that stuff. But I mean, I'm at fault for getting roused with people about Brexit or the Labour Party or whatever. I'm on the right side, kids. That's the left side, not the right side. But you know what I mean? And you think after a while, what is the point? I don't even know this person.
Yeah.
And I'm getting furious about someone who's in favour of Farage or supports going to Rotherham and burning alive, refugees.
Yeah.
What is the point? And apart from anything, for all I know, it's a bot that's been generated in Russia.
Yeah.
So, you do have to kind of ignore it because it's all a load of bollocks.
Yeah. It's hard, isn't it? Because they say they've got that power to just tell you something or, disagree with you or complain or, slag something off. But you've also got the power to instantly respond, and it's really hard to stop yourself doing that.
Well, this is what I've probably said this before on podcasts or interviews, whatever. Not that I do tons of interviews, but someone said to me, always do what your enemies least expect. So a couple of times I have got in touch with people and said, oh, thanks for your comments about that. I'm fairly new to, putting this character out there. I thought it's quite funny. Have you got any ideas how I could improve what you heard the other day? And they go, well, no, to be honest, it was quite funny, actually, what you did. It's like, if you actually question them, don't fight fire with fire, just go, oh, right, that's really interesting. I'm sorry you were disappointed in my act. What would you suggest? And they go, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm a chartered accountant.
Yeah, they claim to be, the kings of comedy, breaking it all down. And when you actually ask them, they say they've got nothing,
If they don't like it, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's not like the old days where there were 3 channels. There's
a lot of
everything
choice.
you want. There's everything you want. You don't have to listen.
Yeah. There's more choice than ever before, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like every platform, you can watch stuff on your watch now, it's like...
Yeah. I know, exactly.
You're literally having media thrown at you left, right and centre.
I remember when YouTube came out thinking, I daren't watch this. Surely this is illegal to be watching... stuff that there should be some sort of copyright on. Am I really allowed to watch this?
Yeah.
For ages, I
thought it were a dodgy site.
So did I.
2006 when I first found
That's
it. I
it.
was like, wow.
Are you allowed to do this?
Yeah.
And now everything is shared, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
But
It's because we've spent all our lives before that paying for every tiny piece of media, whether you're buying a song as a single on a CD or a vinyl, whatever it was.
Exactly.
And then suddenly everything's there for nothing.
But I mean, in terms of critics, I don't invite them to my shows now. I had a really horrible. We were in Leicester Square, and someone, I won't mention them. It's a small site, a small review site. Wrote something about the whole of the Northwest came to see him complete with leg tattoos and doner kebabs, and really, really nasty about the audience. And Mike Cox, who is a stand-up who was supporting me, alerted me to it and just put something like, "Ever wondered why working class people don't feel welcome in the arts? Read this." And you go, why so snobby? I don't know whether anyone had a doner kebab. So what if they did? I like a doner kebab.
Yeah.
And I was brought up in northwest London, But leg tattoos, there's people enjoying themselves, literally throwing their heads back, having a really good laugh. What I'm doing is I'm not breaking the mould. It's not meta, it's not Stuart Lee, it's not surreal. It's really quite old-fashioned. And people have a good laugh and they enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So why pick on people?
Yeah, there's clearly a call for it.
Yeah.
Majority of the shows are selling out. They
it's
repeat multiple nights in the same venue.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it's doing something. And I just thought, there are many ways to skin a cat. If it's not your particular taste as a reviewer, that's fine. Tell me why it isn't or whatever. Not that I'm interested. But don't have a go at the bloody audience. I mean, really, that's just plain nasty. So there's that. I won't have anyone. Plus, I'm selling so many tickets now. What is the point? It can only jeopardise it.
Yeah. Well, any publicity is good publicity. That's all they say. So
try to turn that to Gary Glitter.
Well, yeah. So, because I first saw, obviously, that you were active as Clinton Baptiste through lockdown. You just appeared on a live stream during lockdown. I'm on my phone with another guy. I don't recall at the time who it was. I don't know if you did some other kind of like clairvoyant type character. And I was like, oh my God, that's
really?
That's the Clinton Baptiste from Phoenix Nights when I was a kid, and I used to watch that. And it's so bizarre to me that, like you said, he's only in the show one episode for a flicker out of those series. But then it's like it's almost like everyone remembers him fondly, like he's there all the way through it, like Max and Paddy. Because he's just so all the is there a John in the audience? I'm getting the word. It's become so iconic, but it's also like most people I know, they often say those things as they would do things like with when people are always saying garlic bread and things like that, all Peter's stuff. It's so bizarre to me that it was just only there for a little moment, but it's become such a huge thing.
I am it's completely delighted that it has. Yeah. I mean, I think years ago when we first did it, 25 years ago,
God.
Well, 24 years ago, I said to Peter, I'd really like to do it as a cabaret act because I was looking for something to do. As I said, leaving no stone unturned to earn money. I thought, what's the way to do it? Just go out there and perform and get on the stage. Don't be waiting around for people. So I was looking for something to do, and I thought this is a great character, larger than life, end of the pier, working men's club, clairvoyant medium psychic, where you can see the cogs working. It's a great idea.
Yeah. And there's nothing else like that around, is there, as well?
No, Shirley Ghostman tried to steal it for a bit, but, the original and best is back. So I asked Peter, and he wasn't keen on me doing it. I don't know why. Maybe he had other plans for it. I don't know. But when we did it in 2015 at Manchester Arena, we did Phoenix Nights Live, I just asked him again. He said, yeah, all right. Gave me the wig and the costume and all that. And it's pretty much the only thing I do now. And so I'm really delighted. So
I suppose you don't have time to do anything else because of the demand on that at the moment.
No, I'm trying to bring back Barry from Watford, which is a character I played on Steve Wright's show on Radio 2.
Yeah.
He's a very elderly, a cockney man, you see. He's a very old man. So I'm bringing him back in May of 2025.
Right.
Because as I say, I'm a complete workaholic. I don't know why. I'm probably just because I don't know when I'm going to have to retire, but I've got to earn some money before I retire because I've never earned any.
It's the Barry from Watford thing. Me and my wife actually we heard the biscuit base.
Oh yeah.
One that you did.
Minty biscuit.
Yeah, and we didn't actually realise at the time because I think we just kind of heard it in passing online.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't realise that it was a character. We were just like, I just kept saying, surely this person is not real. I was like, but part of me, because I do a lot of travelling myself and
Yeah.
meet a lot of people. You sometimes meet people who are a little bit like that. I thought, do they realise how funny they are? I'm not actually sure if this is a real person or not.
You know what? I'm so spoilt to have Ian Lee. I used to do loads with Ian Lee on LBC and Absolute Radio, Talk Radio. What else? BBC Three Counties. That was BBC West Midlands. And I just used to phone him up, and it makes the world of difference if you have someone who is great at playing the straight man. And then there's that other poor woman who rings up. I mean, I feel sorry for her.
Yeah.
But I always say this, in the world of guerrilla comedy, there will be a certain amount of collateral damage.
Yeah.
The poor woman doesn't realise. But, I hope it wasn't too mean on her.
Oh, I didn't think it was. I just, again, I was just kind of like mind blown that I thought I weren't sure if it were a real person or not. Where did the influence to create him come from?
Well, as I say, that was another, when Peter sort of said no to Clinton, I was thinking, what am I going to do? And this old Cockney way of speaking was, from all my Cockney ancestors from South East London. And it was a kind of, it is now, it's probably declining, that dialect. Just because everywhere, dialects change. Apart from yours, which sounds like it's been the same since 500 years. But, sort of London, it's always, there's a sort of South London thing which is slightly Afro-Caribbean now. And so this old Cockney sound that I grew up with, I could sort of recreate quite faithfully. And I thought that's so accurate. And plus, if you had a sort of old, your esophagus is slightly drooping at the back, and you've got a very dry throat, and you run out of the lung capacity, you see. And I just thought it was a quite endearing thing, without taking the piss out of old people. That's just what people used to sound like, who I knew from my Cockney family. And it's when I used to know old people were old people, not like now.
Oh,
they're
God.
dressing like they're 16. You know?
Yeah, they're still going to the gym and they've got 8-packs and.
Yeah, but I mean, hats off to them.
Yeah.
But they were people who just come out of the war, and they were knackered as well. They had no food, no money. It was times of austerity.
Yeah.
So that's what I remember.
I see a lot of pictures of people like from my family that some of the elderly relatives. And my mum would show me and go, "Oh, do you know who that is?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's so and so." And they go, "How old do you think she's there?" And I'm like, 45, God. And they're like, "She's 12." I'm like, "What?"
Oh man, I know.
Black and white picture.
I know.
Old cobbly streets and stuff.
Absolutely.
I'm like,
no, it's incredible. That,
but everyone dressed older as well, which I don't think helped. But obviously, no proper central eating and not,
I know. It's a strange thing that you kind of admire. I kind of admire them for that.
Yeah.
It's that. I'm sure they would be very happy now. There's a nice warm hotel room.
Yeah.
Sitting here chatting about my stupid career. It's not what my relatives did. My nan, my old grandmother, worked for probably 50 years on a fish stall in South Harrow, under a viaduct, freezing cold, filthy, dirty, cold water. Real graft.
Yeah.
Tough people, she was in the Blitz, in the war and all that sort of stuff. And I have such admiration for those people. I can't help it. I'm slightly obsessed with nostalgia, actually.
Yeah.
Increasingly. Just because there's so much ephemeral, shitty bollocks where we are today. It's just junk everywhere. And I've got to, for example, get off this phone, constantly scrolling for TikTok, and it's like an hour's gone. You go, what am I doing? Why?
Yeah.
I'm not interested in steps, singing.
We've kind of replaced the channel surfing by just scrolling with your thumb on the phone now.
I've really got to stop it. It's a dangerous thing, and I don't think it's good for your memory. I used to be great at remembering names and all that sort of stuff. I honestly think that's done something to my short-term memory. Definitely.
My memory's terrible, so I would agree with you.
Yeah, I think it's no good.
But I also, because there's so much stuff out there, I find it hard to find the things that I want sometimes, because it's like, obviously the algorithm tries to work in your favour and show you what it thinks you want.
Oh, I know.
But sometimes there's just people smashing their faces into like cakes and stuff, and I'm like, why am I watching this? I'm trying to find this person playing a guitar solo or something like that.
I know. No, I mean it's really worrying. My algorithm, the stuff that comes up. I mean, because, you know, you look at stuff in a car crashy sort of way. You know, the thing that keeps coming up, and I don't want to look at it, is, you know, these pedo hunters.
I really enjoy watching those. I don't know why. I'd get so much satisfaction watching the realisation.
I know, but I don't want to see these people.
No.
I want to see them arrested. That's it. I don't necessarily want to see some bloke squirming, making up excuses. It's always coming up on my algorithm. And my wife, who's very intelligent, is there. And, you know, this is an example. The other week we were sat in bed and I was scrolling away on the phone and she was reading a book. She's an English teacher. Right. The title of this chapter was The Urbanisation of Shakespeare with Reference to 19th Century England. And I was looking at that and I said, oh my God, that looks complicated. She knows me and said, what are you looking at? I said, Bigfoot videos. I thought, that is our relationship. And I don't want to look at Bigfoot. I'd like to be interested in proper things. Yeah. You know, I mean, before I get too old, there are so many books and things I've not read. Yeah. The great literature, the great works of art, great films. If anyone asks me what's my favourite film, I've absolutely no idea.
Yeah. I have a bookshelf at home and it's got a third of the books have been read. The rest of them, I've either started them or I took them away on holiday, but they never left the suitcase.
I know.
And then I get frustrated with myself and what am I doing? Oh, I'm sat watching, I don't know, someone building a fire in the middle of the woods or something. I'm like, out of nothing. Like, why am I watching this?
It's extraordinary and it's no good, you know. And then I'm often on my own, you know. I'll be in a restaurant scrolling away at this stuff, you know.
Yeah.
I went down to breakfast here at this hotel this morning. And I thought, oh, what shall I do? I look out the window. There's no one around. Oh, God. Immediately.
Yeah.
Looking at this crap.
Yeah.
I could have spoken
it's
to
like
someone.
A habit now, though, because I see, like, if people... You know, if you see a queue somewhere or people in the waiting room, the first thing they do is once they stop, they reach for the phone. And no one speaks.
I think it's head down. I honestly think it's dangerous. I don't think it's... You know, people all make this observation now. And there's all that, you know, I think Breakfast News, they were talking, what they did, there's a show coming out about banning, who is it with? That bloke from McFly and the presenter. And it's the school that stopped mobiles or something coming out. And I think it's a thing that everyone is recognising. It's very dangerous.
Yeah.
What an old grunter I sound like. God.
I go through these phases of stuff like that, though, where people think you literally sound 30 years older than you are because of my opinions. I think I've got like an inner
How old are you now?
I'll be 39 in March.
Right, well, I'm just under 20 years older than you, so this is what you've got to look forward to.
But yeah, it's not just the mental health, the thing that it has the effect on you, and obviously your productivity. I just think, like, everyone's going to have the posture of a banana in about 50 to 100 years' time.
Yeah, no, it's disgraceful. Terrible.
So, when we're talking about the stuff that you're doing with the shows, and, you know, we're talking about the things that it's just a laugh, and it works for that Yorkshire audience. Have you found any areas around the UK that you thought they don't seem to be responding as well to this as so-and-so region does?
I think that if we go to the southwest sometimes, God knows why, and maybe because we've neglected them on 4 tours, we don't seem to sell as many tickets in Torquay, you know, those areas down there on that peninsula. I don't know why. I think it's because I've not been there much. Because people are the same in this country. You know, it's only a relatively small island. You know, I find I go to places and, I mean, the audiences are pretty much the same. But I do meet people, this is always slightly pisses me off. You go, oh, you're not from Bolton. When I meet them afterwards, I do signing of merch. Oh, I'm dead disappointed now. Oh, you're not from the north? And I think, it's only a small country. I could drive here in an afternoon. why are you so appalled that I'm just from down the road?
Yeah.
You know, that always disappoints me. They're like, yeah, all this southern bollocks. You know, honestly, people are the same. I can assure you, I go all over the country, and people are lovely or as horrible in one part of the country as they are in another. But I mean, what I will say is, having said that, in terms of the amount of people who turn up, Yorkshire, Lancashire, the Northwest, pretty much, they're really good. Actually, the Northeast as well. But I mean, it is really lovely, and I can't pretend it's nothing to do with Peter Kay. People love Peter, and I think it's a nostalgia trip, and they like to think, you know.
We got that feeling when, because we came to your Barnsley show.
Oh, yeah,
and,
that always does well.
Honestly. Yeah, they're great. In fact, I've got a feather that you gave me while I was there.
Namaste.
Yeah, it was.
You have another one in here somewhere.
Yeah. Who's your supplier? You must be ordering bulk loads of those. Is it really?
It's so funny because I sometimes go into the audience and there are some people who believe, and I hear people going, "No, that is a sign. That is a sign." I always want to go, "No, it's a sign. I went to Hobbycraft just before that's the only sign it is." Yeah.
What's your true opinion of the clairvoyant, spirituality, all that type of stuff?
Okay,
for you and yourself.
I want to make this absolutely clear. I think it is utter bullshit. I think those people are charlatans. But what I will say, this is what has really fascinated me since doing my podcast, Clinton Baptiste Paranormal Podcast. I've heard so many stories. Some of them, it's like, oh, that's just a coincidence, a door slammed, whatever. But some of them are so compelling and so real, and I absolutely 100% believe them. But I do think there is stuff that happens. Honestly, I can't listen to every one of these stories and think that's just a coincidence. I met a lady called Rachel McDonald. She helps out Yvette Fielding. And I think she doesn't get paid for it. I think it's just a volunteer thing because she's really interested in this stuff. And she's telling me, she's saying, "Alex, I have seen someone disappear in front of my eyes like that. Disappear." And I have no reason to doubt. And she said, and there's a woman I was with who was there, and we went, "Did you see that?" Now, I don't believe they both had some kind of hallucinatory thing at the same time. I think that's what they saw. And I think it's possible that, I mean, I don't understand quantum physics or whatever it is, that there's some sort of stain on time and stuff that has happened. You've witnessed it suddenly. And, you know, I don't know. God, I don't understand that stuff. I'm only an actor. I don't think it's necessarily people coming back from the dead or whatever, but I do think there's strange anomaly that happen. Might be, call it a ghost, call it what you like. And maybe these figures don't know that they're in a different time zone. It's just some sort of... Anyone listening with any intellect I realise I'm sounding like a fucking idiot.
Put it in the comments. Explain it to us.
But there are people who do understand that stuff.
Make it short.
Yeah. But I don't think, psychic Sally Morgan or whatever. I just don't believe it. I think it's... And I've read enough about it to know that there are all sorts of tricks. Cold readings, incorporating stuff, suggesting something to someone, and then you mention it later and they miraculously... I just don't believe it. And the other thing I'm waiting to happen is that doing this for a living, a ghost is going to turn up one day and I'm going to suddenly go, "Oh dear, that told me."
You're all right.
Yeah, that is, and that's it. And I'm just going to go, well, I can't do it anymore because it's clearly all real. But up to now, that's not happened.
Did you not fear that maybe because I always think if you're exposed to something for so long, you tend to like I listen to a real variety of music from stuff from back when the war was going and then up to death metal to the point where it sounds like they're emptying a drain.
Yeah.
And I didn't really like the really heavy stuff until I got exposed to it for a longer period of time. Do you think that the more you see, the more that you're around this stuff, you're starting to think
that is a good point.
There could be something.
That has crossed my mind actually. I just listened to so much of it. But I mean, doing the podcast, I honestly don't know what I think about it. I mean, it's incredible to me. I've done 8 series, and the last 3 series have been people phoning in, genuine people and stuff. And I really don't know the answer. I hear these stories and I don't really have an opinion. Sometimes I think that's just nonsense.
Yeah.
But some of them, I do think there's something in that. At least that person is not lying to me. They genuinely think that's what they saw.
Very strange. I'm not a believer in it and things like that, but I don't. You know, if people want to believe whatever it is they want to believe, I'm happy for it as long as it's not hurting anybody else, really. So
yeah.
But have you ever had like an actual like clairvoyant confront you about what you're doing?
All the time, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I have people all the time going. I mean, I was in Twickenham, and I could hear a woman. I was getting the Bear. What's it called? Bear Club comedy, and is it called Bear Club? Whatever, and. Excuse me. And a woman was trying to come into the dressing room. I could hear this. I was on with Chris McCausland, actually, the blind dancer from Strictly. And I could hear, is he in here? Is he in here? And I thought, oh, God, I don't want to have a conversation about this. She came and she said, look, I get it. It's very funny, all the tropes of being a clairvoyant medium. But I actually study at the Parapsychological College in, wherever it is, South Kensington or something. And she said, I just want you to know that your family were with you on that stage tonight. I was like, oh, yeah. I thought, quite a small stage. I don't know how they all fitted on there. But and she said, your grandmother was there. And I said, what did she look like? She was right behind you going, I always knew he... Now, as we've established, I was a bit of a show-off, always wanted to go into showbiz. And she was probably the one who really encouraged it. And she said, I said, what does she look like? She said, well, she looks a lot like you. I was thinking, well, a blood relative, there's every chance, you know. And she said, your little dog was there, and we had just lost this little dog, which was kind of pretty amazing. And actually, do you know what? I found it quite comforting. I went home in the car thinking, you know, I do often call on, this is true, when I'm very, very nervous in the wings, and I do get very nervous doing the show. Maybe not so much this show now. I've done 100 dates of it, but... Normally doing stand-up, I get very nervous. And I do call on my relatives to be with me. And I do find that quite a comfort.
I have family members that they go to people for like readings and they'll say, oh, we're seeing this person, this person's here to say this to you and things like that. And sometimes I don't know if it's just they just fire so much at them that eventually there's going to be something that will be relating to that.
I think there is a lot of that. There is. I've seen so much on.
People fire a lot of shots.
People say, "Do you go to see a lot of this stuff?" I don't, but I've seen tons and tons on YouTube. And the same old stuff and searching for stuff. And well, it's not you; it's your friend. Is it someone? It's a name like Bernie. I mean, and it's not for you; it's for someone else. I mean, I've seen tons of that. That's what Clinton does, really.
Yeah. See, I love all that, like the. You know, jumping onto the next person because they'll go, oh, no, but they've
Don't block me. Don't block me. Very cut off. Very cut off. Now, I'm going to park that there, my love, because it's you. Easy. Just quickly change the...
So, obviously, I've seen that you've announced another tour for Clinton as well.
Yes, Spectral Intercourse.
Yeah, and so obviously, as we know, you know, at least 15 months to 2 years, you're already going to start to be getting booked up already. And everything.
Yes. Hope so.
Will you be getting like little bits of work in elsewhere? Do you think? Because I know you obviously do a lot of other stuff. You write and things like that. And voiceovers.
It's interesting you say that. I've got to start writing this show. I have my co-writer Brendan, who's my director. And he's the guy who recently wrote that book with Judi Dench. You know, Judi Dench has been flogging this book about acting Shakespeare. And Brendan is an actor and a director. And he's been sort of talking to her about her reminiscences. And we got sort of thrown together through a mutual friend. And he's just great. And he's very, very good at structuring the play.
Yeah.
I say play, the stand-up show. It is stand-up. I must never forget that. It's not a play because people want you to do jokes. So when he's available, I'm going to start writing that probably at the start of the year.
Yeah.
And take a whole year to write it and chuck things out. Go and do new comedy nights. But my diary is quite full, which I'm going to have to discuss with my wife. She won't be too pleased. But I'm not really taking on that many more gigs. I used to be like a proper actor who did all sorts of things, but I think at the moment I just need to concentrate on this. Though I am doing a little Barry from Watford mini tour in about May, but that's going to be an old show I did many years ago at Edinburgh.
Yeah. There seems to be quite a call for that online as well, and a lot of people keep
You're
commenting
right.
on things.
You're
They'll
right.
comment on the Clinton stuff because
Oh,
they're very
I'm glad
aware
you
that you
said
do.
that.
They
I'm
go,
glad you said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a chance I'm taking.
They go bring Barry back and things
They
like
do,
that.
they do, yeah. And the other thing about Barry is I've stopped using the full prosthetic face. I just use a nose now.
Right.
Because I've got old. I don't need to use the bloody prosthetic, which is so much easier than sitting there turning up an hour before the show, putting on the full prosthetic face,
Yeah.
which sometimes falls off under the heat of the light, starts sliding off my bloody face.
Yeah.
So I'm much happier to just use a prosthetic nose, and you can sort of cheat it. I don't think anyone's really going, that doesn't look like Barry. It still sort of looks like Barry.
Yeah. Well, it's like, even like Clinton, it's like, obviously, Clinton is not going to look how he looked in Phoenix
What's he
Nights.
saying? What's he saying? You're saying, hasn't he got old and fat?
We all age, though, don't we? So you're going to look slightly different.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I did a gig, where was it? And some bloke turned up, and you're doing the autographs at the end and selfies and signing the merchandise. And the bloke went, yeah, 25 years ago, wasn't it? Phoenix Night. I said, yeah. He went, you've aged.
So have you.
Yeah, exactly. And it was so uncharming. I went, sorry, you've aged. Yeah, sorry about that.
I think because people have stuff captured in the mind, don't they?
Yeah.
It's like if they've not seen that person on something else for a while, they've just got them in the mind that's...
Yeah.
It's like when you've not seen a friend for a few years. And,
Yes.
You notice the differences compared to...
Well, yeah, I mean, that's right. But also, of course, people don't think Phoenix Nights was 25 years ago. They think it was the other week.
Yeah,
it's so long
it doesn't
ago.
Feel that
no,
long
no,
ago.
no. It's a long time ago.
God, it's scary.
Yeah, it is.
Time passing by.
Yeah.
How did you find the whole transition then from doing the acting to doing these stand-up shows? Obviously, I know you've done them.
Yeah.
Done them for a while now, haven't you? But was it difficult at the beginning?
Well, as I say, I used to get so nervous. I mean, I started with Barry from Watford doing stand-up. I used to do Jongleurs. People might remember Jongleurs.
Yeah.
Which was a kind of brutal place. It was all stag and hens. And it were people who are not particularly interested in seeing comedy. I'm so stupid I didn't realise that, not coming from a comedy background, coming from an acting background, I thought, oh, that's the gig you do. That's a comedy club. I'll do that. It was quite well paid. But there are people who, as part of their stag or hen, go paintballing or go to a spa or whatever. Then they have their cheap chicken in a basket thing. And then for some people, the comedy is, they don't actually want to see comedy. This is an inconvenience while you get to the boozing and the disco later. So I didn't realise that. It's like there's people who have no interest in comedy who have to come to Jongleurs and they're going, I think it's a free-for-all to shout out or, be a pain in the arse or get up or
drives
talk.
me insane.
Yeah, it's really hard
to watch a lot of, I'll go to like Comedy Store and been to Frog and Bucket and things like that. And there's obviously a bit of different people, and they tend to put someone on who's a bit newer, a bit less experienced at the beginning, and it's like they show that little flicker of weakness, and they're on them and they spoil it as well.
It's disrespectful, so disrespectful, yeah. But of course, I guess people don't have that tradition now in their lives of live entertainment. Sometimes I'll be gigging, and there's a full conversation going on.
Yeah.
And you're going, I'm not on telly. I'm 6 foot away from you. And everyone else can hear you. And it's not just being, precious, because it spoils it for everyone else. Yeah. And when, on the odd occasion, someone gets kicked out, the relief from the audience. Yeah. Everyone relaxes.
They all cheer.
They do. And they're going, thank God, we can now carry on. So that is the only thing. I can't stand that. So to answer your question, so starting off doing Barry, I was very, very nervous, really nervous. In fact, I got alopecia, I think, from the back of which is sort of grown back a little bit now. But I think that's from the stress of doing Jongleurs and, and I would go there and put on all my prosthetics. And as you say, sometimes they weren't in the mood for this nicely observed 3-dimensional old man character. And they'd be like, what's this? Who is that? And so there was no, but look, I'm not blaming the audience. If they didn't like it, they didn't like it. But, it went well, I'd say 50, 60% of the time. Yeah. In the end, I got so sick of all the kind of stag and hens and the disrespect, I stopped doing it. Yeah. But then picking up Clinton, it's been much easier just because people know the character, comes with a bit of history. Yeah.
They want to hear what he's saying, don't they?
Yeah, but I do still get very, very nervous. And I think that's not being pretentious or anything. I just think that if you've given up an awful lot in your life, you know this as a musician and all that, if you've given up a lot to do something and it doesn't feel like it's going well, it really feels like you've fallen a long way.
Yeah.
You know, if this is your whole identity, this is what you do as an artist. And I make no apology for saying that. You know, it sounds like I'm being arty-farty. But if that is who you are, to go there, give up a Saturday night, drive there, give up seeing friends, sometimes it's not particularly well paid, and you are not well received, it feels like a dagger. It feels like dying.
Yeah.
That's why they say dying.
Yeah.
Because you think my whole worth, everything, is just bombed.
You question why you're doing it sometimes, don't you?
Yeah,
and then you know, especially when it's, I mean, obviously it's going really well for you, isn't it, right now with the shows? Yeah. But there's obviously there are
Touch
times.
Formica. Yeah.
There are times in like when you start out doing these things and you get hit with that kind of rejection or abuse, and you are questioning it, and you think, like you say, it's not well paid early on, and you think, well, I'm driving around in this banger and I'm buying crappy triangle sandwiches and I'm getting home at 4 a.m. and people don't like it. And I'm thinking, why am I doing it? And it's hard to push through.
How do you do that? I guess you have to have a lot of chutzpah and a lot of balls and a lot of. You have to. My mate Justin Chadwick, he is a film director. He directs. It's a Hollywood film director. He directed The Other Berlin Girl. He directed Tulip Fever. He directed all sorts of things. What else has he done? In The Long Walk to Freedom, the Nelson Mandela thing. He's from Bolton. I went to college with him when I was 18, 19. And he said something to me absolutely incredible, and it was completely correct. He said to me, the only reason you and me and him, are still doing this for a living is that we were naive enough to believe what people were saying when relatives, aunts, uncles, parents, brothers, sisters said, you know, you're really good at that, you should keep doing it. That's the only reason that we went, oh yeah, or our ego was so big that we went, yeah, I'm really going to do this. That's the only reason, because I don't know that we were so brilliant as kids that there's a child prodigy, you've got to carry on doing this. We were just naive enough to go, yeah, that's the path for me, I'll keep going. And I thought that was very sobering. That's it.
Yeah.
So that's all you've got, really, belief in yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah. I think it's like, you know, that common saying, everyone likes saying you can't please all the people all the time. But I think if you just keep doing it, whatever it is that you love doing, the right people will latch onto it and recognise what it is, and they invest in it. Like you say, you know, that critic didn't like Clinton, but there's rooms full of people there that say otherwise to his words, and we're the same, you know. We do things with the bands and things like that, and people, you'll have someone who'll go, well, that was just horrible, it was noise. And then others will go, oh, best gig I've been to all year, that. And I go watching bands all the time.
But how do you keep, I suppose the other thing is, of course, that, you know, I wasn't joking, but my parents sort of suggesting I would get an office job and that would be it, and assumed that was what would happen. And me genuinely looking over my shoulder my entire life, really honestly thinking any minute now, I'm going to have to stop this silly nonsense. There are a lot of shit jobs you could be doing. There's a lot of very boring, you know, and I have no doubt if I'd been a chartered accountant, whatever it is, anything, worked in a shop, I don't know, whatever it is, and not been performing, I have no doubt I'd be facing some sort of terrible midlife crisis now. It'd be terrible to get to 50.
Do you think you'd be incorporating would the entertainer and you just come out in those jobs?
Yeah, you'd be like
talking to people.
You'd be like David Brent, wouldn't you? You'd be like David Brent, showing off, and people just going, "That's really annoying." You know? I'm sure that's what it is. Frustrating.
Impressions.
Yeah, you know, if you heard this one, you know, no one wants to hear that. You know.
No, it's not good. I obviously, because you keep yourself busy. You do a lot of different things. You have done a lot of things.
Yeah.
More than I realised, actually. And you when obviously I saw you again doing the Clinton thing on this live stream in lockdown, I started looking into it then, and because I thought like I was planning on putting a podcast together through lockdown, and I'd kind of like listed lots of different people I wanted to speak to. You were on there, and I thought like, well, wait, build it up, get the time right, and then, but I then spotted you in other things that I'd not realised, because I love the Peep Show.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how many times I've watched. You know when you just put things on as like a comfort in the background, you just while you get on with other things because you just love it. You just like 2 years ago, I was like, Alex Lowe. I didn't even obviously you just pop in on one episode.
I do feel like ever the bridesmaid, never the bride. I mean, I've tapped up in every bloody sitcom and what have you, you know, over the years, and that's fine. You know, I mean, this is a big thing, but I'm very chippy about, you know, class. I do feel like I'm a kind of lower middle class. I'm a bloke from the London suburbs. There's nothing really exciting about me at face value. I'm not Eddie Marsan. I'm not a kind of, you know, I'm not what's his name? I'm not Vinnie Jones or a Ray thingy. You know, I'm not a cheerful Cockney chumpy. I'm not an upper class actor, which seems to be quite often the only people who can afford to actually do this for a living. And I always feel, and also I didn't go to Oxford or Cambridge, and I must have been really naive not to realise that those people who are so well connected, just as a matter of course in life, get to do these fantastic opportunities. And I just think, you know, Peter Kay once said to me, to someone about me, "Oh, he's great, Alex, he's very good value." And I was thinking, I'm delighted he said that, but I don't want to be good value. I don't want to be good value. I want to be a fine wine. You know what I mean? I'm often seen as a safe pair of hands, you know. I went through a phase of doing people's readings of sitcoms. I'd never do it now as an actor. As a favour, will you come along and read this first draft for the executives at the BBC or whatever? And there's a part for you, and, you know, never end up playing the part. And you think, oh, well, you know, this is what I'll do. I'll go and show my face. No. They didn't have the respect to me, offer me a role. They think he's a safe pair of hands. He'll be able to read this script properly. And I just think you do have to sort of set your stall out a bit and go, I'm not going to do any old rubbish. But as I say, you know, I've had to make ends meet. So I've done all sorts of little tiny bits in, you know, the Peter Serafinowicz, I was in that quite a bit. That was one of my favourites for BBC Two. Peep Show. I did a bit in... You were in
Brassic.
I've done that. Brassic. Absolutely fabulous. I had like one day on that. All these things, I go, oh yeah, I was in one episode of that. And, you know, and as I say, you know, turning up in and sitting in a porter cabin all day has been pretty much my experience of being an actor. It's not been always on the set. It's getting up early, playing a role in one episode as a kind of guest character, and going home, not getting to know people particularly well, because they'll have you now, Alex, come on, do your bit. Thank you very much, go home. You know, I've done a lot of that in my career, jobbing actor.
Do these opportunities still kind of come your way, or do you just say no to them, or will you be like more selective about what you do?
Honestly, I can count on one hand where people have just offered me something. Steve Coogan very kindly offered me a bit in that Alan Partridge thing where I played the royal correspondent who had no trousers and pants on. Where you see in the mirror, he's on Zoom, and in the mirror you can see his bare ass. That very, very seldom does someone just say, do you want to come and play this part? So I've no doubt if I stopped doing this now, I'd still have to audition for things. There are certain things, I mean, I don't really go up for commercials anymore. I can't stand that. It's just degrading. And I don't think they pay what they used to pay.
Pretending you love something.
Eating a bowl of cornflakes, and then he can't even give you the respect of giving you a bowl, and you know, it's just embarrassing. I think there's probably hundreds and hundreds of tapes of me over the years going up for these things and failing to get them.
Even when you, well, am I right in like saying that even when you reach some level of status in that industry, it's still really difficult?
Well, I don't know whether I have reached any kind of status. Honestly, I go and do my gigs. I think increasingly people are going, bloody hell, he's selling a lot of tickets. You know, I'm playing the London Palladium for the next show. I'm playing the Lowry Big Room. I'm playing that Sheffield at the City Hall, that big room there. So I think people are sort of beginning to notice that Clinton shifts a lot of tickets. But I couldn't tell you because no one is beating a path to my door to do anything else.
Yeah.
I would love to be offered things in the future, but I don't think I honestly, I find it inexplicable. Maybe I'm just not any good. I don't know. But it's very, very seldom that anyone's offered me something. I've gone up for parts. I don't think I look like anything particular. I look like a nice bloke from the London suburbs. I don't have a particularly striking look. I was always naive. When I was growing up as an actor, I was naive enough to think that it was a catch-all thing where you can play a variety of characters. It doesn't work like that. It's like if you want a gangster, it's not going to be me, evolving into this brilliant thing that I've created. You just go down and get someone who literally was a gangster and he's now an actor. It's not like the old days where there's sort of lovely actors who are playing lots of different parts. I think you just have your niche that you play.
Yeah.
And I'm much more of a character actor. So, just playing bloke from London suburbs, which is what I am naturally, who I don't think I sound particularly posh. I don't sound particularly cockney or, so I don't think being the sort of vessel where you can pour a character in and play whatever, I don't think it works like that. So I don't know. If I hit the big time, then I'll let you know.
There could be bigger things to come now. Obviously, like you say, these shows are selling so many tickets, and obviously, sometimes like we said earlier, it's multiple events, multiple nights in the same venue.
Yeah,
It's tying over, and
Well, I don't know
whether
whether
a sign of things to come.
I would love it if someone, said, okay, play something else, not Clinton, and let's find this other thing for you. But I think Clinton and Barry they're such specific character parts. I don't know whether that will happen. I don't know. But I'm not hanging around to find out. I'm just going to do my thing.
See, I notice this about, like, cause obviously I'm around lots of different people who are doing like music stuff, and some people do comedy and things like that. And that even though they've got the confidence to get out and do what they love to do, a lot of people will admit that they're terrified and also quite self-depreciating.
Yeah.
And you're kind of demonstrating the same type of things. Some of the things that I think when I'm doing things.
I will always do it. I will never not do it. I really shit myself doing it. I don't think it's good for my health. I really don't. I don't think your body... I often wonder whether your body can tell the difference between good adrenaline and bad adrenaline.
Yeah.
I don't think it can. I think your heart's still going... Da-dum, 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 da-dum.
Yeah.
And, they've strapped people up, performers, and you've got the same amount of adrenaline coursing through you and cortisone or whatever it is as being in a car crash. It's not good for you, I don't think. So I'm self-deprecating only because I know it's rarely translated into anything else, but you've got to have some self-confidence because there's no one else going to give it to you, even if it's really, really horrible to do.
Well, like my wife highlighted to me with some friends yesterday. She was saying that, like, Matt talks a lot. She was just says you say a lot of words all the time. I just talk all the time, but only to people that I know.
Yes,
but, like, if I'm in a public area, I'm terrified of speaking to strangers and striking up conversations with random people I don't know.
Why
or if someone,
particularly?
I don't know. I just think if I open my mouth, I'll confirm that I'm an idiot. So,
Well,
so I just kind of, I think you think, well, they're probably not interested in talking to me about whatever it is I'm going to say to them. So,
well, this is what I find. What I really like as a kind of performer, artist, working in the arts, you meet people who I often talk about this on my podcast, like you, who you offer something out, and they're not going to kind of bite your hand or slap your hand away and go, oh, all right, if you like, mate. I really love people, and you will find people, if you open up a bit, most actors and performers, artists, whatever, you offer something out that's quite out there and quite truthful about yourself. Anyone who doesn't respond to that is very cut off and just wants to talk about the football or house prices or something boring. You don't want to be talking to them. it's great sometimes to offer something out and people will respond to it.
Yeah.
You know? And not use that as a stick to hit you with. You're going, I'm laying myself open, being vulnerable, talking about important stuff to me. I don't mean you have to spill the beans about your family history, but you might talk about having a shit time, whatever. Anyone who's prepared to meet you halfway and have a chat about it, it's another soul on that road in life.
Yeah.
It's great. I love that. But, you're right. Who wants to go to the pub and talk to some idiot about God knows what? Share prices or something that I don't know anything about.
Yeah. I find it hard talking to some groups of people who just want to kind of go like, so what you driving now? And just random...
That is really boring.
The most mundane things. And it's like, and I think there's so much... more to life, and there's there's so many things you could be doing stuff. I've got like far too many hobbies, and so. But then I always think I don't know if people would be even interested in that, so I try not to force it upon them.
Yeah, but I mean, I think you sort of gravitate to people who are sort of interested in the same kind of things. I mean, I've joined the David Lloyd gym. Way too expensive. It's so expensive. And my wife and I have joined it. So we're on a family thing, or a couples thing, which is very, very expensive. But the reason is, one of the reasons I thoroughly recommend it, kids, is there's the spa at the David Lloyd gym. And in some venues, there's something called the Spa Retreat, which is so luxurious. It's better than 5-star hotels, I would imagine. I don't stay in them, but it's so lovely with a steam room, jacuzzi, sauna, cold plunge, relaxing rooms, and very often I'm in there thinking, "Oh, this is nice and quiet." And the one thing that ruins it is those people you're talking about cars or where I'm in northwest London. The amount of conversation I've heard about Rolexes. Yeah, it's the Z125. With it. It's like, are you saying this out loud to impress me? You've got a Rolex. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not interested. It's so dull.
Yeah.
Anything that's just about money or monetary value, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Boring.
See, my thing is, I like to just like you. I'll fill the gaps, and anything I can do to fill gaps that I'm going to at least partially enjoy to earn some money. But then straight away, I'm not really a big brand type of person, and I'll rather spend it on some kind of experiences. I mean,
absolutely.
I do find, unlike yourself, I do try and carve some holiday time
do
out.
You?
Yeah.
God, what's that like?
When was your last actual holiday, would you say then?
Well, we went away. Oh, I'm so terrible. We went away to Portugal. We go to the same place every time in the Western Algarve. My mate has got a villa there. And I just wanted to go for a week. And I promise you, after 3 days, I was like, oh, God, I can't sit by this pool. I had a book to read. I couldn't really, it was a bit bright with the sunlight.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just not enjoying this. I'd rather be writing some ideas for the next show or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm ashamed to say we had a week in Portugal. That was it.
Yeah, see, my wife could just lay in the sunshine, like, for two weeks dead straight, and she'd happily not move. But I start kind of like sitting up and fidgeting. I like to lay down for a couple of hours here and there, but then I'm like thinking, I might go for a walk, might do this, or better check my emails. I need to promote that show or book this.
that's pretty much like me. And I don't think I'm not saying it to be clever. I don't think it's clever to be like that because it gets on people's nerves after a while. And what do you achieve? And what's it all for? to do a show to massage your ego? Who gives a shit?
Yeah. Well, so I was trying my best to keep this to an hour. We've just gone slightly over, but it's all right. So I don't want to take up too much of your time because obviously you've got a show this evening. But I always like to close podcasts on asking guests, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And okay, hold on. Advice to my younger self, I think, would be, for me personally, would be get into comedy earlier. And maybe I think I probably should have done stand-up. It's arguable that whether I do stand-up, it's sort of character stand-up. But I think I'd probably have gone into just doing my own live performance as a solo performer. I think if I'd done that, I sort of started doing that in my 40s. I think if I'd started at 30, maybe not done so many sort of dramas and laid myself open to being a straight actor, just taken my own destiny in my own hands and had that confidence, I think that's probably what I'd have done. I feel a bit like this is 10 years, a bit too late for me to be, because I'm knackered, I've got a cold now and everything. I think I should have just done all of this a bit earlier.
It's a lot of talking as well, isn't it? You know, what's the average show, like an hour-ish, something like that?
Well, my tour show is 80 minutes,
really?
So it's a long time. But tonight I'm doing an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of talking, and talking like Clinton.
Yeah, and the high-pitched as well.
Yeah, I mean, I just hope hope my bloody voice lasts tonight.
Can you play that off on the shows then and joke about it? Clinton's got a cold as well.
I had to just say last night, I hope my voice. Yeah, this is the first of 5 nights. In fact, I've got about 7 nights in a row.
Wow.
And so I'm in mortal terror. It's a good job I've talked for the last hour, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm in mortal terror of losing my voice. That's my worst thing. But I don't think doing the highness is the issue. It's having a slight cold, really.
I find because I often will be described as I can sing like a girl, and I can get up there sometimes. I'm sometimes croaky in the lower registers when I've
very interesting. Yeah, I've got quite a high falsetto. I'm quite good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always used to be able to sing like Jimmy Somerville in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was a bit embarrassed about it, to be honest. But maybe it's fine, a bit like the Bee Gees, maybe.
Yeah, I can do all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Good for you.
It comes out of me when, because obviously most people hear me and they just go, you
deep,
just sound
deep
like
voice.
some weird.
Yeah. Oh, great. Good luck to you.
Rough Barnsley guy.
Yeah. Great stuff.
But no, thank you very, very much for having a chat with me.
Thank you. Yeah. I hope that wasn't too tedious. Not too much navel gazing. I really be kind.
I'm good on the audio editing, so I could always pull us up an octave or two if we need to.
Okay.
If we're sounding a bit too gruff.
Yeah. Okay. Nice one. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate
Awesome.
it.
No, thank you very much, Alex Lowe, everybody.